Hello and welcome to the Indienational Podcast. It's May 21st. My name's Matt Elton and I work on production on the magazine.
I'm Elizabeth and I write features.
I'm Ewen, I write features.
I'm Charlie, I write features as well, but I also edit international news. The Seattle International Film Festival is kicking off tomorrow. Vast, huge international contemporary film sort of showings that they're doing. They're doing loads of things, including Boy A, which is from the UK.
Which did quite well at the BAFTAs last month. I think it was last month. And Andrew Garfield, who was the Boy A, the title, won a BAFTA, I believe. So it's had quite a good screening so far.
Do you feel it's become too much of a tradition for British cinema to be so relentlessly depressing?
There certainly seems to be a kind of trend towards bleak, gritty
what
drama.
I liked about Happy Go Lucky.
Which I think you saw, didn't you, recently?
Yes, I did.
What did you think of that?
I thought it was good. It was very atypical of Mike Leigh's work.
Yeah.
Usually quite a miserableist sort.
What's the previous stuff he's done? Because I'm not very kind of familiar with.
He did Abigail's Party, which was a play at first, I think, and they filmed it, and it was really good. He's known for kind of naturalistic dialogue, and but this is kind of an about face, which is what I liked, because most British films tend to depress me. And and this one, it's about a teacher called Poppy, and she's 30, and she's still living it up with her flatmates who she's been with for 10 years, and she's just very bright and colourful and cheery, and almost too cheery in a way, like to the extent where she gets into some tricky confrontations. There's one in particular that's been noted on where she has a bit of a close moment with a tramp. I make it sound funnier than it is. It's actually quite tense in the film, but you realise that she's willing to go a step further than most people to be helpful.
Is she quite naive then?
Yeah, just basically she's this naive character, but Mike Leigh seems to be very fond of her. He was quoted as saying that he thinks more people should be like her character.
Does her happiness get annoying as like a character in the film?
I have heard she's annoying,
Some
actually.
people think she's annoying. She has a sister who's pregnant and getting married on the career ladder and the property ladder and all that. And there's the suggestion that that's kind of the easy, boring way to go, and that she's, and that she's the selfish one, and that Poppy is the enlightened one and stuff. And that seems a little bit heavy-handed to me. But overall, I'd say it's a really good film, worth checking out. If you like Mike Leigh, you'll like it.
I should just mention, if you do like Mike Leigh, there's been recently a box set of his films that have come out, which is the first time you can get some of them on DVD, naked, I think, for the first time, so that might be worth checking out. He's not really my thing, to be honest. No. Mainly because I do find him, I get a bit tired of that British kitchen sink gritty stuff, so maybe I should go and see Happy Go Lucky. I might like that a lot more.
How much out of 10 would you give it if you had to give it a international
mark?
I'd probably
give it a 7.
Good 7, that's cool.
Ooh, that's quite good.
That's quite good for us, yeah.
Talking of DVDs, actually, moving smoothly on to My Kid Could Paint That, which is now out on DVD. And it just sounds, it's a documentary, and it sounds really interesting. It's a 4-year-old who they reckon is some kind of artistic genius. And basically, they're having a documentary made, but during the time they're having the documentary made, there's suggestion in the American press and on CBS that her father is sort of helping her, and that you get this sort of like impression that she might be being forced to make this sort of modern art, and that she might be being directed in some way. Because it's a documentary, I think it's 12, so it's nothing, nothing massively, there's no real horror story here. It's a good documentary, I think.
Talking about horror stories, you've got a film with a plot that's about a man with a bag for a head, haven't you?
Well, yes. I mean, this is one of the films that is showing at Seattle, and it sounds really funny. And if you do get to see it, it's
got a bag for a head or a bag over his head?
Well, a bag over his head, but it's quite sinister. It's an American film, and it's basically the same people who made cult favourite The Puffy Chair. Did you see that one?
I did, unfortunately.
Yeah, was it not that good?
No, man, it's terrible.
Well, it's okay because there's a sequel, and it's called Baghead. It's a lurid tale of 4 would-be movie stars who sequestered themselves in the woods to write their masterpiece screenplay. Soon they find themselves menaced by an unwelcome visitor, with a bag over his head. When you go see this summer, if you don't want to see Sarah Jessica Parker, tripping around in heels.
Or Indiana Jones.
Or Indiana Jones.
Or Batman.
Or Batman.
What's left? What's left?
I think once you look past the superhero films, there is a film from Iran, I think, that was quite well received a month or so back.
Persepolis.
Yeah,
Yes.
Persepolis.
Which I keep meaning to see and haven't actually got round to yet.
No, I haven't either, but I did read the original graphic novels. And the graphic novels were amazing, absolutely amazing. And the animation that you've seen in the trailers, or in fact in Indienational, we had a lovely picture in Indienational,
Should we just
are
explain what it's
exactly
about?
exactly how it was drawn.
Well, it's basically, I'm afraid I've forgotten the lady's name, but it's about this.
Marjane Safadia.
Yeah.
There we go, easy, who's growing up in Iran, goes through a time.
She sees Iran at a
upheaval.
time where it becomes from a relatively livable society into something that's quite extreme, and her parents are quite liberal, and they find the transition to quite a totalitarian sort of like atmosphere very difficult, and she moves to France.
What does excite me about it is the possibility that other kind of graphic novels of itself might get adapted. Because I'm sick of superhero movies.
Yeah.
I was just mentioning earlier that the last 4 months of Empire covers have had
Superhero month,
superheroes on them, and I'm just getting bored of it. So to see graphic novels maybe like Art Spiegelman's Mouse, which is a Nazi parable.
And again,
or,
they were both seen as very political sort of like graphic novels when they were around. They were very popular amongst politically minded people, and I think there's definitely more space for that in cinema than there has been.
That's cool. Talking about adaptations, I believe the new Ben Affleck directed film Gone Baby Gone, which has been delayed in the UK for about 6 months, I think, because of the Madeleine McCann case. That opens on June 6th.
Casey Affleck.
Sure.
Ben Affleck's younger brother plays a cop in it who is trying to find a young abducted girl, and in my opinion, that's really where the similarities with Madeleine McCann end. But
there's some really tenuous stuff, like the actress's name is Madeleine, and she looks like the same because she's got blonde hair or something really tenuous. But it was kept in the cinema for 6 months just because sensitivity.
But anyways, his performance has been quite lauded. I think he's going to be up and coming, especially after the assassination of Jesse James. I think Howard Robert Ford even amazing in that film. Yeah. So
I've got to say, I really don't agree with this kind of taking stuff off in case it offends people type thing. I mean, I was reading an interview with Ben Affleck recently, and he was saying, oh well, it's natural because the parents will probably be upset. Well, the parents are upset anyway. They've got bigger things to worry about than a film coming out, and everything's going to offend somebody, isn't it?
Yeah, the cinemas don't want a mass boycott, do they?
No.
Because of that sort of thing. I mean, they want to release it when they can
Being
get the most
cynical,
money.
Yeah, exactly. They're going to wait until they can get the most people seeing it.
Yeah.
in my opinion, it's not. In my opinion, it's nothing to do with keeping the parents happy. It's just to aid their distribution and their profits. I noticed though that on the other end of the scale, the George W. Bush biopic's getting fast-tracked by Oliver Stone for an October release.
And that's starring
Josh Brolin.
In quite a scary makeover from what I've seen.
Yeah, George W. Bush. And also a misleadingly handsome cast, I might add. Given the roles, you got Tandy Newton as Condoleezza Rice.
Okay.
And Ewen Griffith as Tony Blair.
Wow.
Which I can weirdly kind of see. I mean, obviously not, but
Colin Powell is
Nice.
Jeffrey Wright, who's the actor who played Felix Leiter in Casino Royale. So see how that goes. It's called W, pronounced W, and I don't know. I've got mixed feelings.
Is it like a straight biopic?
It's a straight biopic.
So not satire.
Not satire.
Well, that'll be interesting because
There's been a lot of satire.
kind of nobody kind of does that. The default position is Josh Bush is a monkey, which is kind of
although it does allegedly deal with his younger, more hedonistic days as well. So when he was struggling with the sauce a wee bit. So we'll see how it turns out.
So if you want to see things in the cinema this summer and going into autumn that aren't big blockbusters, you're looking at quite political feel, aren't you?
Yeah. Which is interesting that it seems to be in two camps, superhero films and films that are quite serious and political, but there we go. So. Excellent. Okay, well, I think that's everything for this week. And stay tuned again next week for, I think, the final of the podcast.
Love it.
Bye.
Ta-ra.